Hey y'all, welcome back to the Laidback Homestead. I'm Crystal, and even though fall's starting to settle in, my planting list is far from finished. From flowers to fresh vegetables, I'm making the most of this in-between season, and I can't wait to show you what's going in the garden this week. Even though, as you've probably seen on my channel, I love starting flowers and vegetables from seed, I'm also really passionate about supporting local nurseries. So while we were out picking up the bulk of our fruit trees for our orchard build, I couldn't resist bringing home a few of these beauties too. You can see these baskets have seen better days. This one still has some morning glories that's trying, but I think we can get these planted out. It's easy to overlook a few pots during the busy season, and as you can see, these pots have seen better days. But I actually love moments like this. Pulling out the old and making space for something new feels a lot like the garden's way of teaching balance. That there's a time to grow and a time to reset. And it's definitely time to reset these pots. Try to save some of this creeping Jenny if I can. Maybe just plant around it. I'm just working to carefully pick out some of the dead parts of this creeping Jenny. She's been through a long hot summer, but this plant is tough. With a little TLC, I know she'll bounce right back. So if you are looking for a plant that can survive with a little neglect, the creeping Jenny might be a good option for you. Now here you can see my morning glories got a little unruly. I was actually surprised to see them blooming again, especially after I neglected them and forgot to water during that dry spell. At first, I thought about trying to save them, but honestly, they'd taken over, so I decided it was time to clear them out completely and give this pot a fresh start. When I'm refreshing my flower pots, I don't tend to fuss too much. I just pull out any big roots and sprinkle in a little organic granular fertilizer. It's simple, but it keeps the plants fed and happy all season long. Pretty Flora white petunia. For my petunias, I planted them right there in the middle of the creeping Jenny. I'm going to plant some 4 o'clocks in here. I may come through and plant some more morning glories to see if I can have a bloom in the morning, a bloom in the afternoon. Y'all, I'm just curious, has anybody ever tried to grow morning glories, 4 o'clocks, and moonflowers all in the same pot before? Just wondering how that might work out. I live in zone 9A, where our winters stay pretty moderate. Petunias and pansies both do really well here through the fall and often right into winter and spring. Pansies are the tougher of the two. They can handle light frost and even dips down to around 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which we rarely see here. And then this is the Majestic Giant 2 White with Blotch Pansy. Petunias, on the other hand, aren't frost hardy and can start to take damage once temps hit around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So if a cold snap comes through, I'll move my petunias into the greenhouse to keep them happy. Sounds like we got a territory fight going on back there. And just like that, the pots are cleaned up, replanted, and ready to bring a little color through fall and winter. So one of the things I want to do this year is run a little experiment. I have 2 self-watering buckets that I want to grow Brussels sprouts in. Now, I have yet to be successful growing Brussels sprouts in this yard. I think it's due to the sun. My homestead property gets all the sun. So I'm going to try growing one of the same plants. I picked up 2 plants from a local nursery. They look the same variety, all that. And one of these self-watering buckets is going to stay in my sunniest spot in my yard, and the other one is going to go to my homestead property. And since these are self-wicking or self-watering buckets, you don't have to water them every day. And something like a brassica, you probably can get away with watering once a week. But we will see how this works. Hopefully we get something out of it. Hopefully Brussels sprouts. So these 2 buckets were grown in over the spring. Tomatoes, that's all I grew in my self-watering buckets. So these have both had the same type of things growing in them prior to this, produced really well, and they have been sitting pretty much dormant, just collecting weeds, as you can see. And normally I would tell you to just chop and drop that in there, but because I'm running an experiment, I'm going to be a little bit more thoughtful of what I'm doing. The only difference between, this is a volunteer tomato that we're going to say goodbye to. Sorry, friend. The only difference between these 2 buckets is that this one also has a baby Oya in it, and this will be the one that goes to the homestead property, and that's just so that the Oya provides an extra little bit of water for the days I don't go out there, whereas this one will be watered when all of my watering buckets get watered. So ultimately they should receive the same amount of water. To keep it as fair as possible, same as with my flower pots, I'm just gonna do some organic and mix that in like so. Anytime I fertilize one, I will document and make sure to fertilize the other one as well. And we'll see how this turns out. If you have tips or tricks on growing Brussels sprouts, let me know, because clearly I'm running this experiment because I haven't had great success. Variety for both is the Jade Cross E. I'm not a fan of these pots. I'd like to get it out if I can. If not, I will just, maybe we'll just rip the bottom because it really doesn't want to come out. I want their roots to be able to grow freely. So unfortunately, this is the way they came at the local nursery. If I was starting from seed, I would not start them this way, which I have several that I've started from seed in other videos, but for experiment's sake, I want to try to eliminate as many variables as possible. And then this guy was already a little bit of a leaner. That's why I'm putting him in the one at the house so that I can keep an eye on him. They both have stakes provided for them in case they need it. Now, watering a self-watering bucket is really easy. You just need to fill up this pipe until you see water coming out of your overflow, which is your hole down here. Now, because these are brand new plants, I am going to water from the top because I want to make sure their roots are making contact. Once they're established and their roots make it down to the water reservoir, you just come and fill up your pipe. And because these have been sitting dormant, it doesn't take a lot of water. It's already overflowing at the bottom. Realizing we are waiting on some storms to roll through, I know I need to get the rest of the things planted quickly. Fall is such a special time of year for me. My hawk friend always comes by for close visits, often perched on top of the garden trellises or even the greenhouse, even though there are plenty of tall trees around for him to choose from. Fall is the time when I start succession sowing my brassicas, cauliflower, broccoli, and cabbages. I also like to tuck in a few pops of color with flowers that can handle the cooler temperatures. I slowly make my way through the grow bags, doing a few each week. There's really no reason to rush in this season of the garden. My garden is always evolving, much like the seasons themselves. I love blending traditional growing practices with modern techniques. growing in the soil while experimenting with hydroponics and hopefully one day aquaponics. Each year my goal is bigger and better, and I know this coming spring will bring all new experiences as I expand my hydroponic growing systems. There's something special about this time of year, when summer and winter share the garden. Peppers grow beside broccoli, tomatoes mingle with cabbage, and sweet potatoes stretch alongside garlic. It's the beautiful overlap between what's fading and what's just beginning, a reminder that the garden is always alive and giving.
Well guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. This is just a short list of what I am currently planting out this week. I would love to know what you are currently planting out in your own yards this week. I have a lot more to go, a lot more seeds to start. This is a very busy time of year actually, where I live in Zone 9A. So thank you all for hanging out with me today. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're into gardening and homesteading content, I encourage you to subscribe. And until next time, stay blessed.